Someone messaged me today like, Rambo, what's going on with the videos? What taking place? You're slipping on your game. And I had to let them know sometimes I take a break. I had to take a break for my own mental health. It's a toxic place on social media. And here's why. Prior to this, we had 9.5 years roughly of PNM rule. The PNM, for whatever reason, took an arrogant stance to most issues. The population were not happy with that and decided to show them that they were not happy with that by voting them out. This is how democracy works. Well, democracy within proper democracies. In other islands in the Caribbean, they have a weird system where it's democratic, but it kind of seems dictatorial to me. Like, there's no way you can please people for this long and never get voted out. But I digress. So, they were voted out. And I think it happened for the best, because had they won a third consecutive term, they would have been super arrogant. Because you all voting them back and would have showed them, yeah, we're okay with it, man, continue. So let them touch grass in opposition for a couple of years, learn some humility, and then return to the people in 5 or 10 years, however long it takes, and ask for a second chance and let the population judge you at that point in time. That is my official stance on the matter. This is democracy, and this is how democracy works. But here is the issue. We didn't have a viable alternative, because it turns out the country replaced arrogance with chaos. And that is something that each and every one of you now have to sit down in your quiet moments when you are on the toilet bowl contemplating, is chaos better than arrogance? That's something for you to decide. But let me explain to you all why I call it chaos. I read a lot of Trump books, and he has mastered the art of being chaotic. He bombards you with so much nonsense. He can't even decipher which one to focus on more than the others, because all of them is nonsense. And if you look at it, let's go back down memory lane and let's look at the playbook. After the elections, what was the first big thing? All of a sudden, Whitehall became unfit for the Prime Minister. Something that a picture could have either proven or disproven. It turned out to be a big fiasco, back and forth in the media. Right around that time, Padarat came out with a video showing a bunch of alcohol. Look, alcohol. Look how much alcohol in the Prime Minister's residence. And everybody with sense was like, the bullshit start. Because even if a Prime Minister doesn't drink, let's say he never drank in his life, he would still have alcohol on hand because you are the Prime Minister. You have delegates coming to your place, you have high commissioners, diplomats, different people, and you offer them something. Not because you don't drink means they don't drink. Let's be real here. But they made a big fuss, and you all ran with it in the media. But make no mistake, the Prime Minister's residence still has alcohol to this day. Probably not this type, because they have their own type they like, but it's still there. Around that same time, we had the whole board members debacle. Some members didn't resign in a timely manner, and for whatever reason, it was a news cycle. Oh, they're leaving, they must leave now, throw the thing out the window. Alright, we move from that right into the firing of a new CEO that Trinidad just spent so much money on to poach from Barbados. Then, while that was still in a news cycle, these things are happening back to back. All of a sudden, 10,000 plus workers from CPEP, yeah, all they go home. We got a few days break, and then boom, new cycle again. 4,600 more workers, go home. It was around this time that I found out, and I'm saying myself alone, because like I was the last to find out, that the Independence Day Parade was actually a PNM political rally. I didn't know that. So they cancelled that, and the fireworks, so the fireworks was too loud. Not for Diwali though, only for Independence, that does make noise. Yeah, I'm baffled as well. But anyway, after going on for months while they were in opposition about firing the central bank governor, they came and within the first couple of months did the exact same thing that they were lambasting the previous administration for. Hypocrisy is a shameless act. We went from that right into the CEO for FCB being forced to resign. It was a whole thing. The board was like, no. They were like, yes. The board was like, no. Then eventually she resigned, and it's like, you know what, whatever. From that, we went into the URP workers. Some of them got sent home again. So CPEP, URP, Forestry Division. While we dealing with that, out of nowhere, on a random afternoon, we heard that the Dragon Gas deal is back on. The same bad deal that we shouldn't do because Maduro is a dictator. That same, yeah, that one. It's back. And people were like, oh, maybe she wanted something after all. Then bam. One of the ministers got arrested or rearrested on fraud charges. And it's like, very on brand. Very, very on brand. And then while we were processing that, what appeared to have been a budget popped up. And it came like a thief in the night because it was a secret. It was either Monday or Tuesday, then we heard Friday, then we hear next year, then we hear, okay, no, it's really Monday. It's like, when is it? When is it? Why are they going to be chaotic with you all? And then it came, and it turned out to be 3 hours of an OJT in a high position calling out random numbers. And if you question, like, where are you going to fund this? Where the revenue coming from? To ask that question. And promises made, promises kept, except the ones that we were all talking about for the past so much years. For example, the 7% online tax implemented by Imbirds. Myself, along with many of you, along with them, were so vehemently against it. For some reason, nah. We will keep this. Then, they talked about the oppression on the nation's roadways for months, for years, when they were in opposition. All of a sudden, they had a chance, you know what to do? They raised some of the fines. So, after talking about taxation is bad, oppression is bad, they came and added a bunch more taxes with different names. It's no longer tax. It's all kind of fancy names. And then people telling you you're winning. You're not winning, no, but they're telling you you're winning. And while we were dealing with that, in the background, we have now isolated ourselves from the rest of CARICOM. For whatever reason, we just all of a sudden is a pariah in Caribbean. And then bam, the biggest elephant in the room, the impending war on our doorsteps. Out of nowhere, randomly. Whoa. I am telling you, the PNM was in government for 9 years and some months, and this 181 days seem like 5 years out of that 9 years. This is just 181 days, and it feels to me like a 5-year time span has passed from April to now. Every single day, bam, 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 bam. Who does that remind you of? You ever watch the international news and realize every single day Trump will start drama for no reason? Go on, think about it and tell me if it's not the exact same playbook being read aloud down here. Every single day, bombard you with more nonsense than your brain can take. That's why I just take a rest every now and then. You're not going to confuse me too much. Just, alright, you're doing too much now? I will just back a bit. Because if you start following it too closely, you'll go mad. Because you will start trying to make sense of things that were intentionally done to confuse you. Because a confused person is easier to gaslight. For example, coming and telling the nation that there was no ill intent or ill will between Trinidad and Venezuela. When we saw the entire exchange for the past couple of months, we saw it. And unfortunately, there were persons actually asking me to confirm whether or not Venezuela and Trinidad had beef. The gaslighting was working. Because the Prime Minister said that she and Maduro good. What? War? No, we are in war. Diplomatic relations are good. In fact, it's stronger than ever. And confusing gullible people. They come in to ask me to confirm what she's saying is true. And I had to let them know, like, you wasn't watching news for the past couple of months? Alright.